Hello and welcome to the Halton District School Board Skilled Trades and Technologies Information Evening. My name is Lisa Galley, and I'm the leader of experiential learning for the board for grades 7 to 12. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues, the elementary and secondary instructional program leaders for science and technology, Michelle Stone and Steve Tolton, as well as the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship lead for our board, Wade Richardson. Tonight, we are excited to be able to share information with Halton families about what the skilled trades are all about, the many exciting, rewarding, and challenging career opportunities they offer, and the ways in which your students can get busy exploring the trades and technologies, both in elementary school and beyond. We thank you sincerely for taking time out of your busy lives to make the pathway planning of your child a priority. We know that the skilled trades are the least well understood and possibly the most misunderstood pathway. And we hope that the information and perspectives shared tonight will allow you to better understand the possibilities they hold for your child. As we often do before any learning session with students or staff in the Halton District School Board, I'd like to begin by honoring the land and territory on which we live and grow and learn and work as Halton residents. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawandaron, the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions: land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. I'd like to review our agenda for tonight. We'll begin with a welcome and overview of the skilled trades and technologies in the Halton District School Board, courtesy of our school programs team. We will then move to our keynote address by Mandy Renahan, CEO of Freshgo.ca. Following this, we'll have a brief question period with Mandy, and then move on to a presentation from Skills Ontario Liaison Officer, Narissa Carino. That will be followed up with another question and answer period when questions can be directed to anyone who has presented this evening. And how will you ask those questions? Well, we've set up a form at the link you see on your screen, bit.ly/HDSB trades. This will take you to a link that will connect to a Google form through which you can ask any question that may come up over the course of the evening. If we don't have time to answer it tonight, it will ask you for an email address to which we will respond with an answer to your question. And we'll continue to keep that posted for you throughout the evening. At this point, I would like to pass it over to Wade Richardson.
Hello, I'm Wade Richardson, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program Coordinator for the Halton District School Board. The skilled trades are important to our society because skilled trades people build, maintain the items that we use every day. The skilled trades usually require a combination of activity-based work and applying knowledge in that trade. In Ontario, there are 144 apprenticeable skilled trades and hundreds of non-apprenticeable skilled trades. An apprenticeship is a combination of paid, on-the-job training and in-class learning at a college. The skilled trades provide excellent opportunities for career advancement and is rewarding, in demand, and has multiple career paths. The skilled trades are satisfying careers. Tradespeople can see the finished product and have pride in their accomplishments, whether they have designed, built, or repaired something. Apprentices learn from skilled tradespeople who pass on their knowledge to the next generation. Apprentices are paid as they learn and complete their apprenticeship with no debt. Statistics tell us by 2025, Canada is expected to have a skilled labor shortage of 1.2 million workers. And 40% of employment in Canada will be in the skilled trades, whether it's apprenticeable or non-apprenticeable. Skilled tradespeople are often progressed to be inspectors, entrepreneurs, managers as their knowledge grows. And the opportunities for skilled tradespersons are virtually endless. In Halton School Board, the Education and Career Life Planning program from grade 7 to 12 exposes students to all the post-secondary pathways and career options. The HDSB has a big supporter of skilled trades and technology opportunities for students. There are many community partnerships within Halton Region that allows employers and organizations to support the skilled trades, exploration, and work together to engage students in career planning. Technological education courses are an opportunity for students to learn some of the skills needed in the skilled trades. The students experience a small segment of a skilled trade while taking courses of their interest. In these courses, students learn to work safely and are exposed to tools and practices currently used in industry. Co-op courses can be taken in grades 11 and 12, and students choose an employer and work alongside them to experience what that employer does day to day. Students often experience many trades during a co-op, and this allows them to make informed choices for their future careers. There are many pathways programs in the Halton School Board. Ontario Youth Apprenticeship programs and Specialist High Schools major programs are where students focus on specific areas of interest. Students who chose these specialty programs graduate with certificates they can use after graduation. And some of the examples would be working at heights training, first aid, and many more, depending on what sector they decided to do their specialist high skills major in. There are also many extracurricular activities available to students in the Halton School Board in the skilled trades. There's way too many to list at tonight's event, but if students are encouraged and should ask their teachers about extracurricular activities at their school, because they will be different from school to school. If parents, students, and employers can learn more about the programs in technological education courses by listening to the HDSB Exploring Apprenticeship and Skilled Trades podcasts. Now I'll pass it over to Michelle Stone.
Thanks, Wade. So let's have a look at some of the learning opportunities about the skilled trades and technologies for our elementary students. So leading up to tonight's event, we hosted the Explore the Trades event targeting our grade 7 learners. Over 4,600 students participated in the event, and after a fantastic introduction by Mandy Renahan, who is also our first guest speaker for the night, students explored their choice of 3 skilled trades in breakout rooms. Now, in the HDSB, we provide experiential learning opportunities for students, such as local skills competition, leading to teams representing the district at the Ontario Skills Competition. And despite the lockdown this year, we were able to send teams to participate virtually at the provincial level. And 10 of our 15 teams finished in the top 3 of all the challenges that we participated in. So it was an amazing year for our skills competition. And in our schools, we have student success teachers, and they offer a wide variety of education and career life planning activities. And you may have heard of My Blueprint. That's the digital tool that we use in Halton. And within our science and technology classes, and kindergarten too, we encourage students to use hand tools to build devices with a specific function and to solve technological problems. In grades 7 and 8, students have the opportunity to use powered machines such as scroll saws and belt sanders and other specialized tools to broaden their skill set. And there are also a lot of different school-based clubs for coding, robotics, and more that our students in elementary can participate in. So what's next for my child? So what happens after grade 8 or leading up to even grade 6 and 7 when you want to find some more information? So we highly recommend that you speak to your child's teacher about school-specific opportunities if you aren't hearing about them throughout the year, because there's so much to communicate about what's all happening in our schools. And not all clubs are run through your homeroom teacher. So sometimes, especially the clubs that tend to have students eventually compete in the Skills Ontario challenges, they're run through intermediate science teachers. So it's a good idea to check in with your homeroom teacher if your child has some interest in those areas. And then in general, it's a great idea to learn more about the opportunities offered by skilled trade specific organizations, such as, and websites like Job Talks, for example, are fantastic. There's lots of great videos where you can find out a lot of information about different skilled trades. Please consider taking technological education courses in high school. There's huge benefits to you as a person or for your child, even if they don't end up in a career in the skilled trades. The life skills that you learn in those courses are amazing. And also learn more about OEAP and the SHISM programs in the HDSB. If your child is in grade 8, reach out again to your homeroom teacher and ask to be put in contact with your child's student success teacher if you aren't sure who that is. And you can also reach out to your neighborhood high school. And another great thing to do is just to continue all the way through high school, researching the skilled trades and the opportunities that you can have if you enter a career in the skilled trades and technologies. And there's a lot of resources that are going to be available at the end of the presentation that are linked in here with this bit.ly skilled trade resources. And just a reminder, we're about to switch over to our first guest speaker for the night. If you have any questions at all throughout the presentation, please click on the bit.ly link and that'll take you to the Google form, and we'll be monitoring those questions throughout the rest of the night. So over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Michelle. I have the pleasure of introducing Mandy Renahan, who is our keynote speaker for the evening. Mandy is called the Blue Collar CEO for her ability to seamlessly navigate between the white and blue collar worlds and to respectfully tell it like it is. She is also the founder of Freshgo.ca, not to be confused with the grocery store. Mandy is a sought-after speaker, multiple award-winning entrepreneur, philanthropist, and trade industry ambassador. Freshgo and Mandy have received countless business awards, with a sampling provided on the current slide on your screen. Mandy's vision goes well beyond building successful businesses. She is redefining the collar blue to help solve the massive skilled trades shortage in North America. Mandy is challenging the misconception that white-collar jobs are better or somehow more desirable than blue-collar ones, and we are extremely lucky to have her with us tonight. Take it away, Mandy.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much. That was a lovely introduction. Everybody else at the Halton District School Board, wonderful human beings. And everybody tonight, I just want to let you know that if we're going to have a pajama competition, you're probably going to lose. Because being from the East Coast, I kind of have my lobster pants on. They've won every competition. So if you're home tonight, tucked in, wanting to realize what it is that you should be doing when you grow up, or if you have grown up and you're a parent and saying, hey, what should I be doing differently, or what should I be leveraging my kid to do? This is what I'm here for tonight. So I want to thank everybody for showing up and letting you know that if you're in your pajamas, you probably won't win, but that's okay. Mandy Renahan, the blue collar CEO and the founder of Freshgo.ca. Yes, not the grocery store. That is a whole other conversation that we would need to take offline. But kids, if you ever go into business long-term, just know this. Trademark every name that you come across because people can just all of a sudden become a grocery store when you're a maintenance and construction company. So you might wonder, say, Mandy, what is it exactly that you do? So before I tell you a little bit of why you should care about what's coming on out of the hole underneath my nose tonight, I'll give you a little brief window into what we do and why I believe it's so exciting. So Freshgo is a 24/7 retail maintenance and construction company. And you might say, now, what does that mean also? Well, we deal with some of the biggest brands in the world. So when you go into Lululemon, you go into Nike, Home Depot, Gap, you name it, we are the company that makes that store beautiful. So anything that happens, a roof leak, a tripping hazard, there's something wrong with the cash flap, the toilet's overflowing, you name it, they call us and it comes into our terminal. The other thing we do is project construction. So some of your favorite brands like maybe Sephora or Louis Vuitton, probably maybe not Louis Vuitton yet. You probably haven't got that far yet. But these types of brands, Tiffany's, a lot of times what happens is that after 4 to 5 years, they kind of need a facelift. So Freshgo is the facelift company that comes in the middle of the night. Nobody sees us, hears us, and we start renovating their store while they're open. So in the day when you go through, you might see a wall or you might see some sheathing, and basically we're behind it and we're giving them a facelift. So Freshgo is in a very, very, very fun space. We're all through Canada, all throughout the Eastern United States. And I'm proud to say that I started this company when I was the delightful age of 18, which isn't too far off by some of you people that are watching tonight. After the pandemic, I had a little less of that gray streak right there that I've earned, I can tell you that. But believe it or not, everybody, I'm actually still one of the more younger people in the industry, and also being a female in the industry, which also I want to touch on a little bit more. But picture it, Mandy Renahan, and here's the thing, kids, if you're sitting next to your parents, or parents, here's the thing, because you probably have all been there, and I always get on to people from Ontario and I say, listen, the best place to go on a family trip is where? The East Coast. So everybody, I grew up in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. I had 3 brothers, a twin. I didn't have a hope in where of being completely feminine. I was what they would call a tomboy back then. I was very athletic. My mom was a homemaker and my dad was a lobster fisherman. So anyway, to make a fat story thin, here's the thing. When you rely on the lobster fishing industry, you know what? There were times that we wondered when we were going to get groceries. We wondered when there was going to be shampoo instead of using a bar of soap to clean our hair. We were poor in westernized terms. And I watched my mom and dad struggle. I watched them, argue. And there was just something about me that seemed to be different in many, many ways. And so I was like, how do I help my parents? And I just couldn't let it go. So my dad, being a lobster fisherman, I heard him talking in the backyard one day, and he said, listen, the lobsters right now are loving this little fish inside of the traps called kayaks. And no, kids, it's not the kayak that we row. It's actually a fish. So you just bug your parents that they need to take you on a trip over to the East Coast, Nova Scotia, first and foremost. And here's the thing. The lobsters used to eat them in the traps, and I had to go out and find a dip net. Yes, a dip net. So we could dip them in the streams. We could get them in bags. Now, don't forget, everybody, I was 10. And I shouldn't have did it, but I used to, kind of take off in the middle of the night when the tides would bring these fish up the stream. And the reality is that I used to go to all the guys on the street and I'd say, listen, I will let you pick me if you'll come and help me do this, and I'll cut you back. At the time, I probably didn't use the word cut you back. I probably said, I'll give you 20% of whatever I get from my father. And they were like, yeah, you know what? We're in. So that was my first time at 10 trying to motivate people. 1, with the other talent I had, which was athletics, and 2, with money. So here we go. Probably, I would say 2 weeks into it, my dad would say, dear, you tell those guys on the street that they're doing a fantastic job. And I was like, Pop, I'll make sure that I let them know. And so about a week later, everybody, this is when we talk about decisions, which is one thing that I want you to think about, what your decision is on the career path. I had a decision that night. There were so many fish, we couldn't dip them. I knew I was going to lose them if I didn't go up and get my dad. And well, we all know that when we do things we weren't supposed to do, and we still live with our parents, it can get bad. So what was I going to do? Was I going to let the fish go, or was I going to go get my dad and roll, basically, roll him and get him out of bed? So I went up and I tapped him, and this was probably about 11:30 at night. And he turned over in the bed and he looked at me like, what in the heck are you doing in here? And I told him that I was the fish broker. And he stared at me. And I thought he'd tan my hide until I couldn't walk. And he stared at me, kind of like how I'm trying to stare in that little green light right now at all of you, which is weird to begin with, just so we're clear, because usually we're on a stage and a little bit more intimate. But he looked at me and I said, Pop, if I don't go down and get these fish, they're all going to wash up. So we went down, we got them all, we got them on the back of his truck. And he stared at me and he says, Mandy, you're 10 years old, you're a girl. And where did you come from? And I just looked back at him and I said, Pop, I wanted to help you and Mom. And he still stares at me, everybody, the same way today. The only difference is I buy him a new truck every 3 years, so he's pretty happy about that. So it was interesting. He said, Mandy, you're a girl. And you know, it never ever dawned on me, even back then, that I was any different than the guys on the street. And so that worked to my advantage. So fast forward, you know, my high school graduation, went to Halifax, which is the city in Nova Scotia, which you also bug your parents, obviously, to take you to, because the hockey, the entertainment, the everything's amazing. Then when you get to the college stage, or where you're going to trade school, or whatever you're doing, the entertainment's great. Here's the thing. Halifax, Nova Scotia, by this time, I show up at Halifax and I'm like, I love building, you know, because with that money that I used to make from the fish is I used to go in the woods and I used to build log cabins. And everybody, I would not rent one on Airbnb, just letting you know right off the bat. But we thought that they were really cool. And so I always remembered, I just want to build. I just want to do this. And I didn't know why I wanted to. And so I used to start calling people at night. And I would say to them, listen, you know what? Can I come work for you for free? And then they'd hang up the phone. The parents out there, you're going to laugh because that was before there were cell phones. And, you know, we used to have the long cord and the everything. And so they'd hang up on me. So I would call them back. And everybody that's on this call, I want you to remember this. I used to say to them, you're going to like me. You're going to like me. And I learn quickly. And I will add value to what you're doing if you'll just teach me. So for that 1 year, I worked for plumbers, electricians, I worked for bricklayers, and then my big job came with floor restoration installation. I was on a job. I was working on the weekend. I took a week off from the farm that I was working on. And anyway, like I said, to make a fat story thing, because we got lots more to talk to you about, but I want you to give you an idea of when I was even your age, in between that area, I was drawn to this industry like you can't believe. And what it's given back to me, I can't even explain to you on the screen, except for at the end of it, I want you to say, and I want you to say that I probably can't even hear you, do you want to be a millionaire? Well, I did. I wanted to be a millionaire. I wanted to help my parents. And so the job came. And literally I was on site working for 3 days with a local refinishing and installation company. And the son of the owner came over and said, Mandy, you seem to be the only one that shows up here on time and seems to know what they're doing. Now, everybody, I want to be very clear. I had just turned 18. I knew nothing about what I was doing there, but I was so excited to be there. And he looked at me and he said, can you do this job? And I thought, Mandy, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I could feel my bowel actually down in my ankle because I was just beside myself. And I said, of course I can do this job. I think I actually was telling Michelle tonight, I said, my whole life has been, yes, I can do it and I'll figure out later. And you know what? That's what I did that day. And I looked at him and I said, the only thing I'm going to need is your credit card. Listen, everybody, I was 18. You know, you don't have collateral. You don't have credit cards. There was, you know where I came from. There was no money. So he just looked at me, he shook my head and he goes, I don't know why I'm going to give this girl from Yarmouth my credit card, but I just am. So anyway, I started. I went down to Yarmouth. I rented a truck. I got every guy I could find and I brought them back up and I went and I rented a warehouse and I bought all the hardwood I could find because I had to learn how to sand that wood because I couldn't ruin this beautiful Brazilian cherry because back in the day it was very exotic. And so finally I kept calling this guy in Wisconsin who said, Minnie, this is the floor finish you need. And finally, I filled up his voicemail, which if you're a parent today, you're going to understand that too. And finally, he called me back and he's like, who is this little bleep from the East Coast that keeps filling up my... So finally, I got him on the phone. Persistence, everybody. It does pay off. Finally, I get him on the phone and he says, what, like, why do you keep bugging me? And I said, because I need your product and I need it now. And so we talked for a little while and he says, you know, I'm just so fascinated with the fact that, I'm going to say it again, that you are 18 years old, you're a woman. And of course, you know, back, you know, with the US and you're from Canada. He says, you know what, I'm going to fly the product over. He says, and I'm going to actually teach you how to apply it. And I can tell you, everybody, that that was the luckiest day of my life, that amazing human being named Ed Zagravic picked up the phone in Wisconsin that day, because he helped me. I had the sanding down, but I didn't know how to refinish floors on the top. And he taught me. So 12 days later, I called the owner's son and I said, I'm done early. He showed up and everybody, he had a little tear in his eye. And I was like, is it good? Is it bad? And I said, is that a tear of joy? Or he goes, you know what, Mandy, this is more than what I could ever expected. So then we were both crying. And then I said, well, good, because I didn't make any money. And he said, don't worry about that. He said, you know what? You bid really low because you didn't know what you were doing, because he says that there was no way that an 18-year-old girl had been doing this for long. So he says, here's the thing. You are not just a girl, you rock. And he says, I'm going to pay you double. I'm going to pay you double. And because of who this family was everybody, my name spread like a bad fart across the city, across the Maritimes. Everybody wanted to know who this girl was in maintenance and construction in the Maritimes. I started working for Irving Oil and Salter Street Film Corporation and Canada Post, and you name it. By 20 years old, I was doing $500,000 in business. And so one of the things that I wanted to, I guess, leave with you with part of my story is that I always stayed focused on what I wanted, which was to help my parents. I wanted to help my parents have a better life. And then on top of it, kids, parents, just want to let you know. So that was, don't want to date myself, but that would have been 25 years ago, 26 years ago. And on top of all of that, leaving home with a suitcase, or basically a hockey bag full of everything I had, some ambitious and a smile. Then on top of it, I figured out I was gay. What a resume. So here I am, everybody, in the biggest city in Nova Scotia, female, gay, getting into construction and maintenance. I can't even tell you. And I never looked back because I stayed focused on what I wanted, which was to help my parents be a millionaire and find love. I'm here to tell you that I was a millionaire by the time I was 30, everybody. By the time I was 30, probably before that, but my accountant would tell you it was when I hit 30. And then I started acquiring all these clients. And here was when the big break came, and I moved to Ontario, and I was dealing with all these big retailers. They flew me to San Francisco. I had never even had a garden salad until that point, everybody. Not even a garden salad. Got on a plane, flew to San Francisco, walked into a room, and everybody, if you're on the other side of this little green dot, wow, was even I very intimidated. And so here's the thing. What do you do when you got the biggest meeting of your life? You're 23 years old, going to be 24. You call your Newfoundland friend. So off we go. And she got me all dressed up and in clothes that I'd never had on. And she goes, Mandy, bye. You need to make sure that you present well. And you know what? What did I know? I was building a business, with not knowing anything. And when I got up to walk into the hallway, when the guy looked and he says, hey, Canada, you got 7 minutes, the hems fell out of my pants. Now, kids, if you don't know how important that is, ask your parents tonight. Both the hems fell out of my pants. And my Newfoundland friend thought quickly. She ran into the office, set me up, stapled my pants, and off I went into that room, and my 7 minutes turned into 5. And I walked into a room with a table that was probably about 40 feet long. No word of a lie. Stuff that you see on TV. And there were 4 men from corporate America sitting on the other side of that table staring at me. I wasn't even 24. And they looked and they said, "Hey, Mandy, we've heard a lot of great things about you." And I was like, "Well, if you fly a Canadian girl across Canada," I said, "I must be something great." And they just kind of looked at each other. Their faces kind of turned red. And they said, "Oh, this is going to be fun." So I sat down, everybody, and that 7 to 5 minutes turned into an hour. And I walked out of that beautiful big boardroom with a $4 million contract. And I can tell you that here was the thing. I went in there knowing what I was going to do. I was myself the whole time. Just exactly what you see is exactly what I was back then. It never, ever occurred to me to be anybody different than what I was. I didn't pretend to be anything different. And I showed that that was what I wanted. Fast forward today, Freshgo is my friends at the Halton School Board pinned up on that thing that you saw, is that I have won many awards. The company has won many awards. And I named this company, just so we're clear, Freshgo.ca. I was here first, not the grocery store. And I can tell you that I am proud of this company beyond. We've been mentoring young people for years. I've been mentoring, I can't tell you how many people over my career, because I love it. And this is one of the things that I really wanted to put forward today on this call, this tonight, was that when your parents, if you're sitting next to your wonderful soon-to-be teenager, when we grew up, it was the smart kids went to university, and the not so smart kids went to trade school. And here's where I can tell you that, Wade, you were reading off a bunch of wonderful things about how to get into the apprenticeship programs. And you also talked about the skilled trade shortage. Well, everybody at home, I want to let you know I've been in this business for 26 years, going to be 27. And I can tell you that those numbers are already here. We already have a systemic trade shortage, and it is dire. With this pandemic and everybody deciding that they're going to fix their deck and do this and put a new kitchen in, it's even become more dire. And here's the thing. It's hurting our economy, and more so than anything, from my opinion, it's hurting all the young people out there today. They really don't know that the cool kids are over on the blue collar side of the tracks now. And that what's more cooler than being in this industry? Nothing. But you've always been told that, you know what, you needed to be a lawyer, and maybe you should be a doctor, and maybe maybe you should be a rocket scientist. Well, when was the last time that a rocket scientist hooked up your lights, put on your roof, paved the road that you drive on, made the food that comes to your grocery store? They don't. So here's what I'm saying to you, is that rocket scientist is good. And when you look at all of the technology today, I can't even tell you how excited I get about it. I mean, you got to calm me down. Is that I want to tell the parents out there today is that luckily I didn't listen to the narratives and the perception behind the trade world being the dirty work. And I will tell you that all of the people in the world, including Canada, that built the country that we live in right now, the transit we use, the cars that we drive, the homes that we're restoring, the homes that we're building, all of those people, as you know, many of them were your fathers, your grandmothers, your grandfathers, were treated like second-class citizens. And we all know that that was wrong. My father was a lobster fisherman for 38 years, and it was a trade. There were some days he never knew if he was even going to come back from sea. And after my business took off, he looked at me one day. We were, of course, at a pub and being a father-daughter thing and having a cold beer. And he looked at me and I could tell I was like, Papa, are you going to get emotional? He said, yes. He says, I got to tell you this. He said, since you've become you and you're my daughter, people now call me Mr. Renahan. They now open the door for me. They now respect me. And they don't look at me as just a fisherman. I can tell you that all the delicacies around the world and all the seafood that everybody loves, and even maybe you love or you don't love, came from my dad all those years. And here's the thing that I want you to see with what you heard from Wade and what you heard from, who was it, Michelle? Yes, Michelle. There are opportunities, everybody. I had to teach myself. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the resources, the schools that were there, that we didn't have the programs back then. Today, you have the opportunity to go into the most, I can't even begin to tell you. There's not even a word that I know except for exquisite area of a career. And I want to give you an example of something. This Fitbit. You might say, Mandy, why are we talking about a Fitbit and trades? Here's the thing about a Fitbit when it came out. It was to monitor your performance, your weight loss, and to show you what you were performing, what you were doing, and that you were seeing an accomplishment for it, which is why a lot of people wear these around their wrists. The trade industry is very similar. You are going into a lucrative area of the economy that you can say that not only are you a high-performing trade, everything, you can also say that you were part of maintaining the Canada that your grandfather and your great-grandmother and grandfather and everybody after that built. But you also can be part of the very exciting modern pipeline that's happening right in front of your eyes. You know, with green energy. I mean, imagine this, you being a marine technician on a cruise ship and cruising around the world. Imagine all of these different things that right now, everything before was trades was dirty. Well, right now it's physics, math, robotics. Can you hear what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what you want to do. The trade industry, as Wade, I think, said, is that there are over probably 300, I think, on the last call that I was on, that you can be part of. It's so exciting. It's beyond. But still, we have a trade shortage because all of the kids out there in my generation and the generation before that and after me were told you need to go to university if you're going to be respected. Well, parents and young people on this call today, I want to tell you something right now. I defy all odds, and it's not just me. There are wonderful women, people of diversity, color, you name it, that are in this industry that are rocking it. And this is what I want to really bring home tonight, is that if there's even a part of you that thinks, you know what, I want to be like Mandy, I want to be self-employed, then you need to be in the trade industry. Because entrepreneurship and being in the trades go hand in hand. If anybody ever had told me when I signed that contract and walked out of that San Francisco office that day that I would become a millionaire, I would have told you I was surprised, and I wasn't surprised. So this is what I want everybody at home to know today, is that the journey to being any form of a tradesperson in any reality is prideful, and it's lucrative, and it's rewarding, and it's performance. Imagine building your own home, restoring your parents' home that make you feel guilty that, you know what, they raised you, so now it's time for you to pay them back. Imagine taking one trade, and most people do. Once they take one, then they're addicted. That's the word I'm using. They're addicted to it and they want to know more. Why? Because you're using your hands and your mind together to produce, kind of like this Fitbit, something that's a measurement that's off the charts. You can be part of saving our planet. You can be part of an essential part of the world that we cannot exist without the blue collar industry. And people have met me sometimes, everybody, and I like to think I'm kind of stylish, and they're like, Mandy, you don't seem blue collar. And I said, why? And they said, well, you've got a really, nice clothes on, a nice bag. And I said, I looked and I went, what a myth. What a myth. Some of the coolest people and stylish people I know are in this industry, but we've never marketed ourselves that way, which is why I'm talking to all you tonight, to let you know that this is your time to rethink what way you're going to go. And I also want to go back to the university piece, everybody, parents, teachers, and children. University is a very viable option for some. But I will tell you, with the amount of young people that have come into my office over the last 20 years and sat in front of me, sad, unhappy, dropped out of university, full of debt, never wanted to go there to begin with. I can tell you what, you are so blessed to have really, truly school boards like Halton, OYAP, all of these different associations and affiliations to give you all of these opportunities that were really not open to me. So this is where I want to end this before we turn it over to questions. If you are a female out in the audience tonight, I want to let you know, people like me and people before me and right now have beat down that door for you. If you're a young lady out there tonight saying, I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. Yes, it is. Women are an army in the skilled trade industry, and I'm a pilot project that went really right, and there's a lot more of me out there. So this is what I want you to know. If you are a young lady tonight, if you're a mom out there that wants to make a change, this industry was just as much made for women as it was men. And I can tell you that the needle is going, and there are a lot more women in these schools. There are a lot more women that are right up there with the guys, and the guys love it. They love it because women come with a different skill set than the guys do. And if your dad's at home shaking his head, some of the most handiest marriages are the women, not the men. We're living in a different time, everybody. And it's time for us to see that there was a hierarchy that divided the white and the blue collar way, way back in the day. Done. It needs to stop here because your real opportunities for your head, your heart, and your health, instead of being stuck in front of a screen, instead of sitting down every day, don't even forget how great the trade industry is for your health overall. And with that, everybody, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Thanks so much, Mandy. I'd stand up and applaud, but you'd see my pajama pants. So I'm just going to say,
well, we see everybody's pajama pants.
Yeah, right. I was blown away. I was blown away listening. And I know I speak on behalf of everyone, all the families that are watching, when I say thank you on behalf of everyone for sharing your passion, your candor, your journey. I could have listened for another hour. It was interesting watching the questions that had come in. And I was writing them down and I was ready to ask you one, and then you answered it. It's like you had them in front of you. It was amazing. But I do want to ask just one quick one. Our biggest goal is to get students in grades 6, 7, and 8 to just entertain the thought of taking that grade 9 tech introduction course. Just dip your toe in the water, just start off, experience it. And you've spoken right to that. But I was wondering if maybe you could go just a bit further and share what you think the biggest skilled trade area need is, like what some of them are. We get asked that all the time. Like, what areas is the greatest need in? Just if you could elaborate a little bit on that, just from your experience. And then I think you had mentioned you might be able to stick around for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd be happy to, Steve. So,
Perfect.
you know, I do get asked this question a lot, and I can tell you that from what we see in the industry, wow, it's incredible how many different sectors inside the trade industry are needed. Right off the bat, carpentry. Wow. You know, really the carpentry industry. And I also get asked, Steve, what is my favorite trade? And I have to say that, you know, carpentry, wood has always been one of my favorites, but I'm also addicted to plumbing and this and that. Plumbing, another one, you know, that's really opening up. There's so many new technologies in plumbing. That's another one. I would say that welding right now is always been one of, and you know what I love is there's so many women going into the welding industry, and and young men, they love it. One of the other things too, I think that we need to keep in mind, Steve, and for everybody at home, is that these are trades that I know of right now that really truly are in demand, that are potentially higher in demand than, you know, being an electrician. There are different ones that right now that it's cyclical. But I will say that the modern pipeline of robotics, Steve, right now, STEM, there's so many technologies of automation and AI that are being integrated into the trade industry. Like if you can imagine, so picture this at home, folks. This is so cool, okay? And I know that Wade knows that this exists, but I've had many shops in my life. And, you know, over the years when we were building beautiful kitchens, cabinets, everything, furniture, we always had to teach our apprentices how to spray the cabinets with paint. And we would ruin thousands of dollars. God love these trees, Steve, because we were teaching people how to do this. Well, today there's a booth, you know, in Conestoga, and obviously I've been in some in the States, that literally were able to teach the apprentices how to spray by new automation and AI technology. So if they overspray, it stops, you know, and we're not wasting Mother Nature. We're, you know, and it's happening quickly. And the young people are like, wow, this is really cool. So I think that, Steve, right now, when we look at the housing boom and we look at, you know, so many more people living at home, carpentry, plumbing, and I will say one more that's huge. And it's a trade that people don't think about is appliance maintenance. It's huge. Like when you think of all the things that you love, like all the appliances that house your groceries, your dishwasher, your this and that, there's a real skilled trade shortage in appliance repair right now.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much. Hopefully we'll be able to ask a couple more at the end. So I'm going to pass it over to Michelle Stone. Thanks again, Mandy.
Yeah, you're welcome, Steve.
All right. So thanks, Steve. I've got another amazing person to introduce for tonight. Her name is Narissa Carino. And Narissa is not only a liaison officer for Skills Ontario, but she's an entrepreneur. And she's been a college professor and on the board of governors at Durham College. She's had an amazing career so far. And we're hoping that she might be able to share a little bit more about that, but also some information about pathways. So I'd like to welcome Narissa to the HDSB.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Halton District School Board, for having me on this really exciting night. What an amazing keynote speaker. I feel so honored and almost unworthy to be talking after that amazing speak. But you know, this is so passionate. We're so passionate about the skilled trades. As I was listening, I kept nodding my head. You know, this is so true. This is what it is. This is what we need. And, you know, I work with Skills Ontario, a nonprofit organization. And why I work for Skills Ontario is because, again, I am passionate about the trades. I not only talk the talk, and I tell the students in the classrooms all the time, I actually walk the walk. And As Michelle said, I am an entrepreneur. I've been an owner and operator of my bakery for over 17 years. I am a college professor. I teach the next generation of up-and-coming pastry artists. And, so many different opportunities have been available to me just by pursuing my passions in the trades. And my pathway was actually a little bit rocky, and this is why I was nodding my head throughout that whole entire speak, is because I went to the University of Toronto. I'm actually an anthropologist by education. My parents were like, university, that's it. That's the way you have to go. And of course, like a good daughter, that's the way I went. Despite my own passions and my natural skill sets and my love for baking, I remember baking as a young girl with my grandmother all the time. I just never thought about it as a viable career opportunity. I just did what everybody did, went to university. And when I couldn't find a job, I ended up, trying to go into education, because education is another one of my passions. I couldn't find a job. And I had to circle back around after asking myself the very important question, what is it that you want to do? Because at that time I was already an adult and my parents couldn't tell me what to do. So I had to ask myself the question, what is it that moves you? What are you passionate about? What do you want to do? So when I answered truthfully, I actually had to circle back and learn, all the new skills or build upon my existing skills in order to, successfully pursue my trade and my passions. So this is why I love doing what I do. With Skills Ontario, so I'm happy to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. I do have some overlapping information. I know Wade from OEAP is here, and he spoke about some stuff, but I do have some overlapping information, which goes to show you how important that information is. So I'm happy to present it to you all again. Just give me one moment. I do have to turn off my video. Let's see here. Can I just confirm? Or can someone confirm that they do see the screen or my presentation on their screen?
We do, Narissa. Thank you.
Perfect. Amazing. So Skills Ontario. I work with, again, a nonprofit organization, Skills Ontario, and our mission statement is to champion and stimulate the development of world-class technological and employability skills in Ontario's youth. Now, our top priorities have always been diversity, inclusion, and representation. And for over 30 years, we have partnered with school boards, with colleges, small businesses, large companies, labor groups, and governments to provide opportunities for youth to explore and develop skills for successful careers in the skilled trades and technologies. So this is a wonderful organization. I'm so happy and proud to be part of this organization. So I like to actually just define skilled trades, because obviously we all know what a skilled trade is, but it's really important. And I think it shines a whole new light on the term sometimes. So a skilled trade is a career path that requires hands-on work and specialty knowledge. Skilled trades workers build and maintain infrastructure and provide services in the culinary, childcare, fashion, beauty, and technology industries. So when I first defined this term, a whole new light was shed on it by basically thinking all these years that skilled trades were only to do with construction. And while, construction, of course, is part of the skilled trades covers a whole wide range of career pathways and skill sets where, individuals can find success and fulfillment. Infrastructure, I use that word infrastructure in that definition. And it's basically the physical and organizational structures and systems needed for our society to function properly. So all of our roads, our buildings, our schools, our workplaces, our power supplies and communication lines, the very fabric of our lives, or how we know life, is dependent on the work of the skilled trades. So that's how important it is. And if you work in the skilled trades, you are called the tradesperson. And in order to work in the skilled trades, a person requires work experience, on-the-job training, and a formal vocational education. Now, regardless of which skilled trade you are going to be looking at, you'll find that they all have four main things in common, or four main characteristics. They are hands-on in nature, and that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It just basically means You get right in there, you create and do with your hands. So here we can think about, is your child a kinesthetic learner? There's different types of learners. For example, there's kinesthetic learners, there's reading and writing learners, auditory learners, visual learners. Now, while we all as students encompass all of these types of learning, some, like myself, are heavily kinesthetic learners. So, if you're a hands-on learner, trades and technology careers might be something for you. Trades are also technical in nature, and this basically means that all of the specifics that you use in your trade, all of the education, the skills, the tools, the knowledge, it relates to a particular subject. So they are very technical. They are also creative in nature, and I like to think of all tradespeople as artists to a certain extent, because at the end of the workday or at the end of a task or a project, the end result is always, relatively speaking, a work of art. And last but not least, but my favorite characteristic of them all, is that they are practical in nature. And this basically means that all the specifics, all the tools, the knowledge, the skills, the education that you use in your skilled trade career can be effectively used in your everyday life. So they are practical in nature. So again, all skilled trades, no matter which one you're going to be looking at, is hands-on, it is technical, it is creative, and it is practical. Now, in Ontario, I remember Wade saying that there are specifically 144 skilled trades that are recognized. And in order for us to keep them organized, what we do is we categorize them into what we call sectors. And we have 4 different sectors plus the technology careers. But we have the first sector is the construction sector, of course, the industrial sector, the motive power sector, service sector. This is the one that I belong to as a chef, and of course the technology sector. And regardless of which pathway or which career you'd be looking at pursuing post-secondary, your child or your students or your daughter, your son, will be looking at 4 different post-secondary pathways. Now, the first thing I always say when I'm talking in the classrooms is that out of all of these pathways, there is not one that's better than the other. Okay. The important thing to think about is, what are your career goals? What are your personal goals, your educational goals, and your personal circumstances? So all of those things will go towards or will kind of direct you towards the pathway that is going to be best for you. Okay, we'll talk about the apprenticeship program and the college program in more detail because these are the ones that have to do with pursuing a career in the skilled trades. And let's start off by looking at the apprenticeship program. And what is an apprenticeship? An apprenticeship is an education that combines practical and hands-on learning with in-class learning to prepare you for a specific career in the skilled trades. Now, the special thing about the apprenticeship program is the way in which you learn. Now, 90% of the time in this program is spent learning while working on the job, so experiential learning. Again, 90% on the job, 10% is spent in a classroom setting. And an apprenticeship program looks a little something like this. Step 1, you would find an employer. Once you find an employer who will take you on as an apprentice, they will partner you up with someone who's called a journey person. Now, that journey person will take you under their wing and teach you everything you need to know about the job, about the industry, about the trade while you are working on the job. And again, that's for 90% of the time in the program. You'll go on to complete the final 10% in a classroom setting. And once you're done all of your training, you'll go on to write your certificate of qualification exam. You do need a minimum of 70% to pass this exam and finally become a licensed tradesperson. Now, you're probably wondering, how long does this all take? Apprenticeship programs are based solely on hours or experiential hours. So this can take anywhere from 2 to 5 years to complete. Now, another amazing thing about the apprenticeship program is that apprentices earn while they learn. And here's a little graph here that's based on hourly wages for unionized apprentice carpenters in the GTA. I've also given you Ontario's minimum wage of $14.25 for perspective. So we see here that the program is split up into 4 different terms, 1,800 hours each. Okay, and right out the gate, this apprentice starts to earn $18.55 an hour. And of course, with each succession into the next term, that wage increases and continues to increase right up until they are licensed. And that wage, when they are licensed, is $37.70, which for perspective works out to almost $80,000 a year, entry level carpentry. Now, this wage will also continue to increase based on the tradesperson's experience level, and also based on the tradesperson's further certification level. So you might have heard of the titles Master Chef, Master Plumber, Master Electrician. Some industries do recognize the Red Seal certificate program, and I always say, if you are in an industry that does recognize it, it should definitely be something that you are working towards. Now let's move on. There are definitely financial incentives, apprenticeship grants, up to $6,000 in incentive grants for women. Again, we've heard that the trades have always kind of been male dominated, but now things are changing. More and more females are wanting to pursue careers in the skilled trades, and we are helping that along by providing more incentive grants for females who are doing that. There's up to $2,000 in general incentive grants, up to $2,000 in completion grants, and we have special bursaries and scholarships for the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit individuals as well. Now, moving on to the college program. Now, what is a college? I know everyone knows what a college is. I'm still going to give you a quick definition, and it is an educational institution that combines practical and hands-on experience with in-class learning to prepare you for a specific career. Now, if your child or if a student is watching, or if you are looking at pursuing a career in skilled trades and you're looking at the apprenticeship in one hand and a college in the other hand, and you're trying to weigh out your options, I'll let you know that off the bat, there are 2 main differences. Okay, the first difference is the way in which you learn. So if you recall, I gave you a ratio of 90-10 for 90% of the time spent learning on the job versus 10% in a classroom for the apprenticeship program. Now, in a college program, that changes to more of an equal split, more of a 50-50 split, where you'll be learning for half the time in a lab setting or in a job placement, and the other half of the time in a classroom setting. So that's the first main difference. The second main difference is that money piece. So we just saw, as an apprentice learning the trade, that apprentice earns a wage while they are learning. And of course, as a college students must pay tuition for their college education. Now, we like to think about the Ontario college system as higher education for the new world. And I think I've heard others speak on this earlier in the presentation, but we've all heard about those students who went through the university system, who graduated with flying colors. And I have my hand up. You can't see me right now, but I have my hand up. That was me. But unfortunately, I could not find a job, and others, many different others, could not find employment. So what they had to do was circle back around and get more practical experience or practical education through the college system or through apprenticeship programs. And here are some stats for you. 83% of college graduates find work within the first 6 months. Colleges have over 625 different skilled trade programs and over 500 different technology programs. And it is a fact, and we just touched base on it already, that the number of people who apply to college after they graduate from university has increased by 40% in the past 5 years. That is a huge number, and definitely something to consider. Now, money. I know that is huge, and another reason why I like to do what I do is because I think I have a very unique perspective. Number one, as a student, trying to navigate all of those murky waters and choosing different pathways while at the same time trying to make your parents happy and trying to do the right thing. So as a student, as an adult who had to navigate and had to kind of correct those decisions that I made. And again, I don't regret my university education. However, if I had a different type of support system, if I had the resources or programs that are available today, my pathway might look a little bit different. So I had that. And now I'm a parent. I'm a mother of 4 children. So I have a very unique perspective. One of them is already kind of pursuing the trade. So I'm very happy about that. And, I do have a very unique perspective, especially when it comes to money, because the money is coming out of my pocket and out of the parents' pocket as well. So in terms of money, how much is this going to cost you? Here is a graph, average post-secondary education costs. We're going to look at the apprenticeship, college, and university. Now, these numbers are average, of course, just depending on the program that you're getting into. So apprenticeship program is $1,410. Again, it's average, and this also balances out because almost everybody is pretty much guaranteed some type of bursary or grant. So that kind of levels out the playing field. And sometimes apprenticeships can be costing next to nothing. The college programs average $5,520. Sorry about that. And university, $8,140. So those, again, are average education costs. Now, why should your family consider a skilled trade? Well, skilled trade careers are essential. They are in demand and they are rewarding. And I heard Mandy talk about this over and over again in her key trade. And I kept nodding my head. My neck is kind of sore because I'm like, yes, you are right. They are absolutely essential. Why are they essential? Here is a picture of an everyday kitchen. We all know what a kitchen looks like. But how many of us have actually stopped to think about how many different trades are necessary and required to make this kitchen come to life? Now, we can even expand our imaginations and apply that question to the entire home. Let's apply that question to all of the different buildings that we use on a day-to-day basis, how we travel from A to B, whether it be local or right across the globe, how we communicate with each other, how we get our clean water and our electricity, how we enjoy all of the different services that we do, like going to a restaurant or getting childcare services or going to a hair salon. Again, the very fabric of our lives is very dependent on the work of the skilled trade. So they are absolutely essential, and they are in demand. And we heard Wade bring up these facts already earlier. But by 2025, it is expected that Canada's skilled labor shortage will reach 1.2 million. And actually, I think Mandy said we are already there with these numbers, and I don't doubt it one bit. That number is so high, actually, because almost half of our current workforce will be eligible to retire in the next 5 years. So if you have a child or if you are a student in grade 8, grade 9, this is exactly the time that you will be graduating from high school. We're also expecting that by 2025, 40% of all occupations will be in the skilled trades. So it's definitely the direction that we're going, and it's definitely an area of careers or pathways that many people could find so much success and fulfillment in. So definitely they are in demand. Most importantly, why are they rewarding? Opportunities for growth. I am living proof of it. Mandy is living proof of it. You can move into entrepreneurship, own and operate your own business. You can move into academia, become a college professor and teach the next generation of up and coming tradespeople. If you work within a company, you can work towards management and gain some really valuable experience in leadership. So there are many different opportunities for growth. One myth that I heard while growing up is, or one narrative as Mandy called it, is that there's no money in the trades, and that is so false. Well, Mandy became a millionaire before she was 30, and there is so much opportunity for good pay. We actually just saw that as an apprentice, apprentices start earning a wage 2 to 5 years in advance of their peers who are learning in the college and university settings. We also just saw that same apprentice as an entry-level carpenter start earning almost $80,000 a year. I know many different tradespeople who earn over $100,000, $150,000 a year, or hourly rates over $100 an hour. So there's absolutely great opportunity to earn a good financial living. And most importantly, of course, doing something that you love. And to elaborate on that, all of that, skilled trades provide opportunities for growth, become college instructors, become managers or supervisors, become successfully self-employed, so advancement. Skilled trades pay well. Here's a graph of hourly earnings of recently certified tradespeople. Again, this is on average. So the majority earns between $35 and $40 an hour as an entry-level tradesperson. In terms of job satisfaction, 89% of tradespeople report good job stability, 95% of tradespeople report good health and safety conditions, and 89% of tradespeople report good pay, job satisfaction. Now, how do you know a skilled trade or technology career is right for you or your child? What I always say is look to your passions, look to your skills, look to your interests, your talents, your beliefs, your skills, how you learn, what you learn, your experience. Actually, as Mandy was talking, I went in and I grabbed this specific slide and I included it into this presentation because I think this is so important to think about. And I really commend parents who come to these types of presentations because it shows that you are supporting, a path that generally isn't really taken seriously or really overlooked. The trades are overlooked, and there is so much success to be found and so much fulfillment to be found in the trades. So definitely look at all of these things, answer them honestly, brutally honestly, and think of how you can connect these things to viable career opportunities, because it's definitely possible. Now, of course, when you're a child or when you get to high school, there's so many different courses and programs. We have Wade, our OYAP coordinator, here online with us. Of course, co-op courses, the dual credit courses. I teach this at Centennial College. It's like a 2-for-1 program where you earn your high school credit and a college credit at the same time. Really great way to get a kickstart in your college education and start working towards what you're pursuing post-secondary. Of course, SHISMs and technology courses. And I've heard other educators on here today say take advantage of the tech courses. Absolutely. And you can always connect with us at Skills Ontario if you are pursuing a skilled trade. We have presentations. We have presentations ongoing in the schools. Also, at home for parents and for guardians and for other different organizations. We're also in the libraries and Big Brothers and Sisters, different organizations now as well, that our presentations are virtual. It's so much easier to get into everyone's homes and get everyone all this very valuable information. We have young women's initiatives, again, programs to support young women who are pursuing the trades, FNMI initiatives for supporting First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. We have our Persons with Exceptionalities conference, again, because we are really focused on inclusivity. That actually our conference just happened in March, so really great direction that we are taking to make sure that everybody is included and can get the information and can be successful in pursuing the trades. Of course, we have our summer camp program. This year it's virtual, of course, due to COVID, but it's absolutely free and so much fun. We have regional camps and virtual workshops that happen year round. We have Skills Anywhere Challenge series that happens online every other Monday. We are offering up a different challenge, and there are great prizes to be won. And also the very biggest deal of them all, the Skills Ontario competition, a really great way for students to meet and compete with their peers from right across the province in the trades. And you know what, even if you don't win and you don't move on to the next level, it's a great way to meet all of the movers and shakers in the trades. All the different companies, the schools, the organizations, learn about their resources and support programs, because everyone has one common thing, and that is to see you succeed in the trade. So that's the Skills Ontario competition. And that pretty much wraps up this presentation. Just a final shout out to our sponsors. Of course, without our sponsor support, the Skills Ontario programs would not be possible. I'm going to jump out of this presentation format right now and back onto your screen. Thank you I think I'm there now. So thank you so much for listening. I did try to squeeze a whole lot of information into a quick short time period, but I do hope that you learned something new, even if it's a little bit of motivation to look into an area that perhaps you never thought about before. That would make me extremely happy, and I'm sure it'd make everybody happy as well. So I do pass the floor back on to everybody.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much. But any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thanks, Narissa. Actually, I was just wondering if you might be able to just tell us just a tiny bit more about some of the summer opportunities for students. Just because that was, just quick at the end, but that would be awesome.
Sorry, the summer opportunities?
Yeah.
Sure. So in summer, the Skills Ontario organization moves into kind of like a workshop or a summer camp series. So this summer, actually it's the second summer in a row, of course, due to COVID, we are hosting our summer camps and workshops online. They were virtual, they were 100% free. So great opportunity to learn new skills in the trades. We have a whole bunch of different subject matter that is available. If you check our website, it's not published yet, but probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, our full schedule will be available online, and you'll be able to register for the courses that you want. And there is no maximum or minimum, so you can register for all of them if you wanted to. I know last year we had students who did the same workshop once, twice, and even 3 times. So it's just a really good time to learn about the trades and to just become involved and get some new skill sets that are focused on the trades.
Awesome. Thanks very much. And I know Mandy mentioned that, she had the person from Wisconsin that came out and totally changed things for her and set her on an incredible path. Did you have a mentor or someone else along the line that has been super helpful for you in terms of building your career, or just in terms of how you're doing with all of your business and things like that?
That's a really great question. And I think the great thing about the trades, and I think I've found this with so many different tradespeople that I've met over the years, is that there is no one pathway to reach that kind of end goal or your goal or your destination. So to answer your question, I think my biggest inspiration would have had to be my kids, to be honest, because as I was hitting a point and I'm like, okay, I'm although I love cultural anthropology, I really do, and I love education. That's kind of what I do, and I'm so happy that I'm able to kind of merge the two in teaching at the college level. But just wanting to be happy. I heard Mandy talk about just doing something for the love and fulfillment, because it's one thing to do something to make other people happy. But it's another thing to do something that makes other people happy, but that also makes yourself happy. And you feel so much success and you find so much purpose. And actually, when Mandy was talking, that's what I thought about. I'm like, that's it. Like, I talk about purpose in the classrooms. When you think about, finding your place in this world, because again, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, it's such a confusing time and maybe kind of scary, especially now in this day and age of COVID, where things are kind of thrown up in the air. But, it's all really about finding your purpose and really just working towards that. So when I had my kids, I had to really ask myself, what is it that you want to do? Let's just be happy and do what you're good at. And, that's what I did. I actually started baking again for their daycare classes. And that's kind of how it snowballed from there. And it's like, why don't you do this for a living? And I'm like, why don't I do it for a living? So that's kind of where it started for sure.
No, that's awesome. And I too, my background isn't in the skilled trades, but I as well, I was doing all the things that made me happy. And it's funny though, how all the skilled trades, or quite a few of them, are sort of woven through what I've done myself. So I spent 20 odd years, I'll just leave it at closer to 20, in the exploration and mining industry. But education was always a passion, and it was also that lifelong learning. But I'm with you on that cooking thing, so I might have to come and see you for some lessons. But that's my next passion. So in terms of my next career path, I think that's where I'm headed in terms of my retirement. So, which is still a long ways off.
Amazing. Well, that's a great thing, right? We talk about trades being so practical and being able to kind of merge them and combine them into other passions, like yourself in education, et cetera. So for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I think we need to turn things back over to Lisa.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Well, I look at the time and I know we've gone over time, and I hope that's okay with everyone, because what great conversation and what great storytelling and insight and experience has been shared tonight about the skilled trades. So we truly thank all of you for tuning in and being here and participating in this event with us. Thank you sincerely to all of our presenters this evening, including Mandy Renahan, Narissa Carino, and the HDSB School Programs team. Thank you too to all students, parents, and guardians that submitted questions, and to everyone who tuned in to make this learning opportunity a priority this evening. We hope sincerely that it informed and inspired you to continue to look for ways for your child to explore the exciting opportunities that the trades and technologies have to offer as they uncover their individual pathway plan, and know that the HDSB is here to help support them in that journey. If you're looking for additional resources about the skilled trades and technologies, as well as the apprenticeship pathway, please explore those found in the resource on the screen, linked at bit.ly/skilledtraderesources for additional information. The contact information of several members of our team is also included there, should you have any additional questions that you would like answered after this evening. We thank you again. We wish you a lovely evening, and good night.